Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Dry That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof!
Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with crank.com and with that metalstation.com. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it's with great pleasure that I'm having a chat with the almighty Paul Crosby, drummer, Saliva, all-round great guy. He's got a fair bit going on, i.e. with Dark Remedy, who we just had a chat with yesterday, and his other band, Coldwards or Cold Words. Paul, thank you very much for joining me, my friend.
Thanks for having me, man. Thank you.
Absolute bloody pleasure, man. It's good that we get to have a chat, man, because as I said, I just had a chat with Dark Remedy, but the Cold Word stuff is absolutely great, man. Like, I'm really digging both of these acts you got going on, but I want to find out more about the project you've got going on with your boys and kind of how that all began.
During the COVID-19 lockdowns, I'm sure we all remember those dreaded days. I was, even Saliva had to take a little break from touring. So to break the boredom, I was just kind of working on some music of my own stuff, just writing stuff. And one day, my son Sean, who is the guitarist and one of the vocalists for Coldwards, we were chatting, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm just working on some music," and he wanted me to send it over for him to check out. And then he was like, "Dad, let me do a guest vocal on there." And it kind of just started innocently like that, and then we ended up doing a few more songs together, and then we brought my other son Zac, who's the lead vocalist of Coldwards, and it just started morphing, man. And we were like, then we decided to maybe record an EP and just put it out just for the fun of it, and then that morphed into a 10-song album, and then we started getting some label offers, and kind of here we are,
Yeah, that was that Bloodwork album that you did release back last year as well. What was that like for you as a dad? It would have been a proud dad moment doing this project as well, with both your sons there as well, and kind of seeing them excel as well.
Pretty awesome, man. I think every dad wants to do things that he likes with their sons, whether it be building cars or playing golf, anything. But mine just happens to be music, and they love music, and they grew up around it. It's pretty awesome, man. I don't think there's a better feeling you can get as a dad to create music with your sons. I always knew that they would probably have their own bands, but I didn't think we would end up being in a band together. So pretty happy.
Yeah, quite amazing voices as well, Zac and Sean. They work really well together. It must be like fun working with them, but also hearing them belt out these amazing lyrics as well, and these vocals.
It's pretty cool, man. It's definitely cool. Like I said, they both grew up and were around the music scene from the time they were little boys. Even on a national level, they would come out with me sometimes in the summertime and spend a couple of weeks riding the bus with me on tour, so they grew a keen interest in it at a young age, and they paid attention, and they developed into really good, songwriters.
Yeah, what was it like making that album, that Bloodwork album? Tell me a little bit more about making that kind of.
It was really awesome, and like when I was saying about how we kind of started writing in the COVID-19 lockdowns, that's basically the beginnings of it. We just didn't know it at the time, and then once we got about 5 songs in, and then we got a record deal, we kind of made it a point to write the other 5 songs on that album. And I pulled in on one of the songs, "Welcome to My Winter." We got Bobby, who's the current singer of Saliva.
And that's literally just highlighting that. I'm like, I've got to mention that as well.
There's another song called "Bitch." Then we got Bumblefoot, Ron Bumblefoot, formerly of Guns N' Roses. He's like a guitar god, our modern day guitar god. To do a guest vocal, I went out on a limb, and I kind of just messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, man." Well, first of all, we had took Dave Ellefson from Megadeth. We did like a little co-run with them, like 5 shows or something, and Bumblefoot happened to be playing guitar, so I chatted with him every day, and we kind of like made friends, so I'd messaged him when we were doing this and just kind of asked him if he would be willing to do a solo, and he was like, "Yeah, no problem, send it over." And I was like, "Yes." So
Yeah,
that came out.
Bumblefoot's a really cool guy. I've seen him in a lot of like giving his time to a lot of like bands coming up and through. And there's like a band out of Ireland that I interviewed a while ago called the Midnight Preachers, which he plays on as well. Seems like a really cool guy to work with. Yeah.
Super humble dude, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, man. And I remember the about 5 or 6 days we spent on the road together. I never seen him without a guitar in his hand. I mean, if he went to catering, he had a guitar. I seen him come out of the bathroom one day with a guitar in his hand. I'm like, this guy really, really lives and eats, sleeps, and breathes guitar, and it shows. He's a monster player.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So you played some amazing shows there with Saliva and probably had some great memories as well, but probably none of them stack up to doing what you're doing now. I chatted with Dane Campbell about Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons and working with his dad. And then I was chatting to Ricky Warwick and he said he'd done a track with his daughter and kind of doing these things and having these moments kind of add up more than what they've been through, even though these memories are great and all these moments they've had. But just like you said before, having these moments to create these projects with your children, because I know with my kids, they got to a stage where they're like, "You're just daggy as fuck, Dad. I don't want nothing to do with what you're doing."
Yeah. Most of that's I say that a lot too, is usually your kids get to a certain age where your dad's not cool anymore, so I'm fortunate that my sons still think I'm cool and they allow me to be in their band. So that's pretty cool. My youngest daughters right now, they're at that stage where like they want me to drop them off a couple blocks before where they're going and kind of lay in the back, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I used to have that, and they'd
it.
be like, "Turn the music down, turn it down, Dad," because I'd always have some heavy metal blasting as I pull up, and they're like, "No, no, no."
Yeah, no, whenever my daughters are in the car with me, they have to control what's playing.
Yeah, yeah, my
And
youngest
it's
one
not
started
it's
doing
not
that.
metal. Yeah, unless it's my oldest daughter, or my second oldest daughter, my 17-year-old daughter. She's into metal. We actually just went to see Falling in Reverse and Avenged Sevenfold last night. Chevelle, 3 Days Grace a few days ago. She's still into metal. She really likes a lot of death metal and stuff too. So it's cool whenever she's controlling the radio. But my young ones, they're listening to hip hop and all kind of other stuff. So
lots of other stuff. The latest single is Bad News. It did come out a few weeks ago. Tell us a little bit about that one.
It's the first single from our upcoming EP. We're going to release a 5-song EP, which is also called Bad News. We're going to stack, probably release like 3 to 4 singles and then release the full EP. It's kind of the new way of doing things. But Bad News, I kind of was just messing around on the keyboards and came up with that little kind of intro keyboardy part, and that's really all I had. And I sent that over to Sean, and he's like, "This is pretty cool. Let me work on something and send it back." And then he sent it back, and it had those monster riffs on there, and I was like, "Dang!" And then Zac came in and did his thing and wrote the $1 Million Hook. Zac had actually already had some lyrics written that he was working on, and it just happened to work with Bad News. And it's basically about being around people that try to make you believe that you're nothing without them, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So about choosing your friends wisely and being conscious of how they treat you and how they see their vision of you, I guess, basically.
Yeah, most definitely. And you've also doing music management which we quickly mentioned there. How has that been for you being a musician, like for all these years, and then kind of coming into music management as well and kind of seeing the whole other side of it, which you probably were doing before anyway, but now it's kind of more of a focus?
Well, honestly, so from the very beginning phases of when Saliva was having our pinnacle of success, I realized pretty quickly that, for most bands, this doesn't last forever. You know what I'm saying? There's always a other side of the spectrum. And I seen how much money was flowing through the hands of our managers and producers and everyone outside of the band. And I knew that whenever, we plateaued and stuff, that I would eventually have to have something else to rely on. But I wanted to stay with music. So I started paying attention a lot of years ago of how management works and how the business side works, as well. And then, about 6 years ago, I had collected so many contacts, and made sure that I made good relationships with people in the industry, other bands, and made sure I had a good reputation with them. So about 6 years ago or so, I started managing bands, and it's just taken off, and it's great. I love it. I get a lot more time. I work from home, so I get to stay home with my family a lot. Bonus. And I still get to work in music, and I still get to play, so it's all good. It's a win all the way around.
Yeah, and that side of things as well, you got to really work the social media, and then you got the digital streaming devices, platforms, and you got to work out a way that bands can be profitable, at least make enough money to get back in the recording studio or buy a new guitar here and there as well, because the music scene has changed so much, even in the 6 years you've been doing it as well.
It's changing every few months. It's still evolving constantly. Realistically, I think in the the best scenario for up and coming bands is to try your best to at least recoup the money you're putting into it to keep going, and then hopefully you're one of the lucky bands that blows up, and then you can do this for a living, and then there's money and all that, because those opportunities are few and far between these days. There's only room for in anything, whether it's sports, music, anything. There's only room for so many people to actually be super successful. So I just try to find ways to help my bands stay afloat on their journey to try to achieve success.
Is a big part of of being in a band now, because I fucking hate it. I understand why they have these devices like Spotify and that, but I love music and I love the scene, and trying to pick my words properly here. But when albums and bands release albums these days, it's almost like I'm like 43. I love going to a record store and buying a fresh new CD and having that and putting the money into the band, or buying the latest single or whatever. Now it's kind of like bands release these albums up there and kind of give away these albums and kind of rely more on the fans, the hardcore fans, to go and buy these albums or go to these shows. It seems like putting on shows seems to be one of the only ways that you can recoup money as well.
Absolutely, man. That's really what it's. Trust me, I'm an old school guy. I used to love buying a full album, putting it in, hitting play, listening to every song, reading the booklet, reading the credits, all of that good stuff. And sometimes, back in the days when you bought records, there you go, they would have a poster or something cool, something bonus in there. I don't think a lot of the kids today get to experience stuff like that, but music now is basically free promotion to try to get people to come to the show. And ironically, when the music business first started, before people, everybody even had record players and all of that stuff, music was that. It was just promotion to try to get people to come pay money to see you perform. And then the industry blew up, and it was LPs, 8 tracks, cassettes, CDs, all of that. But now it's gone back to, it's just promotion to get people to come to the show. It's kind of sad, honestly. And the other thing about it is it's not really prudent to release full albums anymore, because if you drop, like Bloodwork, for example, you drop a 10-song album, and some of the singles will get a lot of streams, and some of the B tracks will still get some streams, but they don't get their due diligence, which is kind of why the new model is just to release singles, and after you release 4 or 5 singles, merge those onto an EP, kind of like that. Because if you don't release them one at a time, some of them they're going to get looked over.
I know, releasing them one at a time, drop a film clip with it as well, which is now the YouTube seems to be the model as well, because it's the one place you can kind of go to see the film clips. I know a lot of TVs don't do that anymore. No, MTV definitely doesn't.
MTV doesn't play music anymore. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I know. So, having that model with the YouTube videos and kind of putting them out, kind of you get direct to talk to well, direct to the fans that, Coldwards fan, when they go along and like and subscribe, and they can have, so many thousands of views and watches on there as well. And you kind of get a bit of an idea of where the analytics are going and who's listening to what and where as well.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too about releasing one single at a time, is because the dreaded word, the algorithm. I really
I heard it too.
But you have to play that game in order to trigger, even on social media, streaming platforms, especially, even on YouTube, and you have to try to make the algorithm work in your favor. And in order to do that, you need to be releasing so much content and so much time, and like, it's really kind of a nightmare, man. I miss the days where you just made a record and you just put it out there and people just went and got it,
I know, I do too, man, because it's a great album, that Bloodwork album. If you just haven't listened to the whole album, people, please do. It's got some great fucking tracks on there, some really cool deep cuts. And like you said, that Welcome to My Winter was an absolute ripper. That bitch track, that can go out to anybody that's kind of in your past life that's annoyed you, man or woman, it doesn't matter. They can fucking be a bitch as well. So,
right.
Dark Remedy, I did chat with them guys as well. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing over there with them.
Well, I started managing Dark Remedy. We just went into our second year of working together, and they still don't really have a drummer. They didn't have a drummer, and they had some really good songs, and they wanted to bring me on board to see if we could kind of make some headway with them, and they were kind of like programming drums, and I was like, man, let me play the drums on this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's way better than programming. You need a real drummer with real feel, So it kind of just started off like that. And I was like, I'll play on the recordings until you guys find a drummer. And then it just kind of morphed, and I just play drums on everything for them now. So it's pretty cool. They're great dudes. Their music is really, really good. The new single Possession, I think it's fire. It's over the top. And I don't know if you've seen the video for that, but it's pretty epic, man. I like working with those dudes. We're just trying to see where we can take it,
Yeah, and it must be good for you, someone who's been around the industry for quite a while, to kind of give back, and not only with your lads playing with Coldwards, but also with Dark Remedy and other bands, and kind of in your management to kind of give back to the scene and these bands coming up and through the industry as well. Now, kind of having that advice for them going forward.
Yeah, really, I have now, especially playing with my sons, I've pretty much accomplished all of my musical dreams as a musician. I still love to play though. But now I have a whole new set of goals with my management company, and I really want to try my best to help some of these other bands get to experience and achieve some of the success and some of the stuff I got to as a musician. So really, that's kind of like my biggest goal of this whole thing, is to watch some of the bands I manage and help them succeed, and then I can go, wow, I helped them do that, So it's pretty cool, man.
Giving back, and that's what it's all about. If you can help at least one person, even through your music or through anything, you've actually contributed and done something. It doesn't matter who you are and what you're doing in life. You can always, give back and put something positive into this world. There needs to be a lot bloody more of it. We were talking live just before. What's going on with the live front with you guys with Coldwards?
We did a couple of shows early this year. Our first show was in March.
Yep.
We played a venue here in Houston, Texas, where we're from, called Scout Bar. It's pretty legendary. And then we played a big festival a couple days later in Mississippi. We had like Non-Point, Blacktop Mojo, September Morning, Kingdom Collapse. There was a whole bunch of nationals. So that was our first festival gig, and we're planning on possibly doing another show or two this year, but really we're geared up for 2024. We're gonna, we're submitting to all of the festivals for next year, and we already had a few other bands that are setting up some tours that have offered us some slots. So we're just taking the rest of this year we have the new single Bad News, and we're about to release another one called Flatline. And then we're just going to kind of pump that up and ride that into next year, and then hopefully do a whole bunch of festivals and stuff 2024.
Yeah, that's the go. Awesome. Paul, this has been an absolute pleasure. I would love to have a chat with you in 2024, see how things are going with everything. Thank you so very much for joining me for a chat about Coldwards, Dark Remedy, and everything else you have going on, my friend. Do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in there, mate?
I always like to say, one of the biggest things you can do to help an up and coming band is obviously follow them on social media, but go to the YouTube channel and hit subscribe. Their royalty rates are a lot better. But so I would like anybody listening to go to our YouTube channel and check out our videos. And if you dig it, hit that subscribe button, tell your friends. And that's about it, man.
Yeah, you got to really support the scene you're in. It doesn't matter, like, subscribe goes a long bloody way. And we're chatting with the Dark Remedy guys, and it's like the fans are the secret member of the bands. Every band going forward, without them, bands can't succeed, people. So if you love the scene, like, subscribe, share it to your friends, scream it to the bloody rooftops. Paul, this has been an absolute pleasure. Everybody go out, crank up some cold words today. Thank you so very much, mate.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate
Cheers,
you
bro.
having me.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.